William Marbury versus James Madison. All you need to know in about 5 minutes. The reason why this event is so important is because it created the judicial review and was the first time the Supreme Court declared a law unconstitutional. Now, let's begin. Let's start with who is involved. There are 4 main people involved: President John Adams, Chief Justice John Marshall, Secretary of State James Madison, and last but not least, William Marbury. The Marbury v. Madison case was held in the United States Supreme Court. This is the symbol for it. By the time the case was heard, the U.S. Capitol had relocated from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. At the time, the Supreme Court occupied a chamber on the ground floor of the Capitol building. Now it is called the Old Supreme Court Chamber. This event took place in the year 1803 and started on February 11th and ended on February 24th. Now we are going to talk about why it happened. William Marbury filed a lawsuit against Secretary of State James Madison because Madison refused to deliver the Justice of the Peace Commission President John Adams awarded Marbury under the Organic Act of 1801. Marbury and 3 other plaintiffs wanted the court to issue a writ of mandamus commanding Madison to deliver the commissions. There was only one problem with what Marbury wanted, though. Madison was Secretary of State, making him head of the office responsible for ensuring documents were sealed and delivered at the time the lawsuit was filed. Madison never had any personal involvement in this case. In fact, the executive branch never appointed an attorney to argue on the federal government's behalf, and James Madison ignored Chief Justice Marshall's order to, quote mark, show cause. Now we are going to talk about what happened. I'm mainly going to focus on the day February 24th because that is the day that this event ended and I think is the most important day. So let's get started. In 1803, the court ruled that the Secretary of State, James Madison, was wrong to prevent William Marbury from taking office as Justice of the Peace for Washington County in the District of Columbia. However, it also ruled that the court had no jurisdiction in the case and could not force Madison to seat Marbury. The Judiciary Act of 1789 gave the Supreme Court jurisdiction, but the Marshall Court ruled the Act of 1789 to be an unconstitutional extension of judiciary power into the realm of the executive. In writing the decision, John Marshall argued that acts of Congress in conflict with the Constitution are not law and therefore are not binding to the courts, and that the judiciary's first responsibility is always to uphold the Constitution. If 2 laws conflict, the court bears responsibility for deciding which law's appeal applies in any given case, Marshall wrote. Thus, Marbury never received his job. Now I'm going to say a brief summary of everything that I said. If it was confusing, then this will clear it up, hopefully. So, to begin, President John Adams issued William Marbury basically a job as Justice of the Peace, but the Secretary of State, James Madison, refused to deliver it. Marbury then sued Madison to get the job, basically. Then, in court, Chief Justice Marshall then established the principle of judicial review. This happens because the Supreme Court declares a law that was passed by Congress and signed by the President unconstitutional. The Supreme Court believed that the writers of the Constitution had given the executive and legislative branches powers that would limit each other. Congress can impeach and the President can veto. In this intricate system, the role of the Supreme Court had not been defined. Marshall then needed to complete the triangular structure of checks and balances by establishing the principles of judicial review. Now, here's some vocab if you didn't know some of the words. Mandamus, a court order compelling an official to take action. Plaintiff, a person who brings suit in a court. Writ, any formal document in letter form, under seal, and in the sovereign's name. Judicial review, the ability of the Supreme Court to limit congressional power by declaring legislation unconstitutional. Jurisdiction, the right, power, or authority to administer justice by hearing and determining controversies. The end.